My name is Monica, and I had an affair. I grew up with 3 sisters and parents who worked 6 days a week. My 2 older sisters married pretty young, both of them getting pregnant before marriage. Growing up, I helped raise my younger sister since my parents both left for work before sunrise. My preteen and teen years were basically unsupervised. Although I was not allowed to have sleepovers, I lost my virginity at age 14. I was a very promiscuous teenager. By the time I left for college, I had already had 3 sexual partners. In my first semester of college, I added 3 more before I met my husband. My parents' relationship was not the greatest. I saw alcohol abuse, some physical abuse, and there was infidelity. My sister's marriages ended the year I went to college, also due to infidelity. All of this shaped my view in that all men cheat and marriage was a sham. I swore off marriage and children. I didn't want to bring a child into this world filled with cheaters and divorce. When I left for college, I was going to be a strong, independent woman, and no man was going to ever tie me down or cheat on me. Ha! When I was in college, my friends either had boyfriends or were hooking up. I felt like the only one of us who wasn't having sex. I craved a relationship. Maybe I missed home or was lonely, or maybe I just really wanted sex. I spent the first year watching a lot of porn and masturbating. By my second year of college, I moved into an apartment with my best friend, and we had a 3rd roommate as well. My best friend, Rachel, found a job pretty quickly, and I ended up getting hired at her job. Our 3rd roommate, Phoebe, worked there too, and that's where I met my husband, Richard. During that time, Phoebe was getting married and moving out of the state. We needed help with rent, so I moved a guy I knew from college in with us. I admit, he was hot and I had a crush on him. We started hooking up immediately. On a lunch with my sisters, I recall one of them advising me to stop sleeping with him and find a good man to be with. Enter Richard. Richard, Rachel, and I drove 24 hours out of state for Phoebe's wedding. I flirted a lot, but nothing happened that weekend. Once we returned, things started up after I put the moves on him. Richard signed up for the military at the start of our relationship. To be honest, I didn't want to be a military girlfriend or wife, but I went with it in lieu of breaking up. Within the first year of our relationship, he went to boot camp, we got engaged, I got pregnant, and we got married. We were married for almost 10 years. We have had 3 children together, and we went through 2 long overseas deployments together. I've always been a sexual person. I started watching porn and masturbating in high school. I never had an orgasm with another person. I was the only one who could make me reach orgasm. Richard and I had a lot of sex, but he couldn't get me to orgasm. He was terrible at oral sex. When he would come, I would wait until he fell asleep, and I would watch porn and masturbate. When he was on duty weekends or deployed, I would watch porn and masturbate. I faked orgasms throughout our marriage. The year that Richard deployed for the 2nd time, we had our 3rd child. He was 9 months old. I was left with 3 kids and a full-time job. I was also determined to lose all the weight I had gained in my pregnancies, considering we were done having children. That was my year. I kicked ass, to be completely honest. I was working, mommying, working out, and I was happy. We had a routine, and we were honestly perfectly fine without Richard there. When he came home, the problems started. He disrupted our flow at no fault of his own. His deployment left him with quite a bit of guilt because he was gone for so long from us, and he missed us a lot. There is an adjustment period after deployments. I had known this from before. The year he came home, we celebrated our 9th wedding anniversary. I would turn 31 the next year, so my goal was to be pre-pregnancy weight by my birthday, since I didn't achieve that for my 30th. We remodeled our master bath, we bought a new car, we paid off debts, and things were seemingly okay. 7 months later, I was miserable. In addition to his guilt, he also came back with anxiety of large crowds. He hated being in public, so we rarely went out on dates. He changed, so did I. But I like to think that I changed for the better, and he got worse. He didn't have a job to come home to, and we couldn't afford daycare, so he chose to be a stay-at-home dad. I worked and made a good salary. I went to the gym 5 days a week. I had a social life outside of our marriage, while he didn't. He felt that because he had sex with me every night, that I was happy. But I was not happy. He spent all day with our kids. He dove into being a father and forgot to be a husband. I can't knock him, though. He is a great father. But I needed to be his wife, not just a mom. I craved attention. I wanted to be shown off, pampered with gifts, feeling sexy and wanted, etc. I was in the best shape of my life and felt unnoticed. I started to resent him. Looking back, I tried giving him hints, sending him job listings, suggesting he go to school while he was staying home so he could obtain a degree. But I never told him I was unhappy. I met a man at work. He gave me everything that Richard couldn't, or so I thought. I, again, made the first move. I noticed him staring at me and I liked it. I would visit his area of work more often than I needed to throughout the day. I eventually found out his name and I started emailing him. His name is Pete. I quizzed him. I got all the information, basically comparing him to Richard in every way. They were like night and day. We started texting. I would talk on the phone with him when I was at the gym. We'd go to lunch together during the week. It was all pretty innocent until it wasn't. We'd have car sex, a lot. He had a bigger penis than Richard, and he knew how to perform oral sex. I was having orgasms every time. I had my first orgasm with penetrative sex. 2 months later, Richard started suspecting me. I told him I wasn't happy and that I wanted a divorce. He begged me to stay. He said we'd go to marriage counseling. He would try and be a better husband. We took a trip, just the two of us. A last-ditch effort to save our marriage. I did a good job faking it because when we came home, he thought everything was going to be fine. But I had sex with Pete again. By this time, I decided I was done and I was confessing my affair. I told Richard about Pete and it was over. Within 3 months, we were signing our divorce papers, selling the house, and moving into separate homes. Our family was broken. I lost many friends. Many women judged me and dropped me for what was happening. I faced a lot of backlash because people sympathized with him. People told me he had PTSD and I gave up too quickly. He did not have PTSD. He was never rated for it by the VA. My dad was so disappointed. I'll never forget when he told me that he thought my marriage was one of the real ones, that Richard was one of the good ones. My relationship with Pete wasn't healthy. I learned fairly quickly that he was an alcoholic, a liar, a loser, a player, and he was broke. I remember one time I'd had enough of car sex and I wanted to get a hotel room, but I had to pay for it because he couldn't. We would get into huge arguments over the dumbest things. We broke up more times than I can remember, and I would always come back because of his ability to please me sexually. He cheated on me. Not only did I catch him, but I also never really trusted him. I went through his phone, and I found multiple messages